Hey, what's happening, folks? Today's video is sponsored by USCCA. I've been a card-carrying member of USCCA for years now. They provide self-defense liability insurance coverage. If you got in a shooting, because the world is a dangerous place and it doesn't seem to be getting much better, but if you got in a shooting, you could literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just proving your own innocence, and that's where USCCA comes in. With your membership, you'll get a private number for a critical response team, so in case something went wrong, you could call that number 24/7, 365 days a year. Additionally, you have a 365-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like your membership, you can cancel anytime, making it 100% risk-free. Links down below, check it out, and without further ado, today we're talking about education and kids and college stuff. I'm going to get on some angry old man curmudgeon rants. It's going to be epic, so here we go. Hey, what's happening, folks? You know, you love your kids. I love my kids too, and I care about the future of my country. I care about the future of the world, and I recognize that the education of our kids is going to determine what type of world we live in the future. That's our legacy. We got to get that piece right. And so as warrior poets, it's imperative that we make sure that we're raising our kids right and we're leaving the world in safe hands, educated hands. And so I've thought a lot about how in the world do I make sure that I steward my kids well and raise them very well. And I've concluded with this idea, and I actually think it's really brilliant, and it's why I have no college fund set up for my kids. I absolutely axed that of like financial advisors and friends who are kind of doing that. They're shocked when now I say, no college fund for the kids. And I have a alternate plan in place, and I wanted to tell you what that is because I'm not being cheap or anything. I'm still being very generous and loving with my kids, but I'm trying not to ruin them, and I'm trying not to set them up for failure in an age where I have tremendous grievances against the college, university education system. Now, before I jump into kind of what I'm doing for my kids, I wanted to enumerate a list of grievances as well. And I'll start by letting you know I'm a college graduate. I have a finance degree from a major university. I don't think it's really worth the paper that it's printed on, unfortunately. And I say that because, one, is when I got out of school, I just wasn't really helped by most of the stuff I learned in school. Some of it I was helped, of like being able to read financial statements and whatnot. That was helpful. I have a finance degree. I'm searching. I'm honestly searching. The business management and marketing stuff really just didn't help. No, I'm sure there was some stuff in there that was valuable, but for the most part, I really feel like I just kind of wasted years of my life where I could have just entered the workplace, figured it out, apprenticed under some good people, and then just read good books. I could have saved a lot of time and a ton of money, but I just went to the school system because I thought that's what you do. And my dad would say, this is the ticket into the race of life. And I think it used to be true. I don't think it's true anymore. I didn't buy my books my senior year of college. I just showed up. And I listened in class and I'd take tests and I did really well. I did fine. But I didn't even buy my books. You know, you couldn't do homework without books. And I just didn't. I just listened in class and I took my tests. And I did great my whole senior year. College. Didn't buy my books. And you're like, how can you do that? Well, it's not that I'm extremely intelligent or anything like that. It's because my college experience was a joke. Yours may have been different. Great. I'm not going to argue with your experience. You really can't argue with mine either. But for my part, I feel like it was a joke and I had a disconnect from the actual workplace as well. I have other grievances about college as well, as you're trying to determine what in the world should we be doing for our kids. Right, or anyone, even if you don't have kids, anyone that's in your sphere that you may be able to have an effect on, because college is in a really, really bad state, and I'm tempted to even call it a massive scam, because it looks like a massive scam. Now, here's a good caveat emptor. If you're doing a technical kind of college experience, you want to be a doctor or you want to be an engineer, you go to school, you go to an actual university for that, right? You're no way anyone's going to let you like cut open their body without going to medical school. You got to do that. So there's that. So there's technical, highly technical degrees right here, and then there's just everything else, right? And so it's really the everything else, specifically the liberal arts degrees that I want to speak on, because that right there just seems like a colossal waste of time for most people. And here's some of the reasons why. The average college student doesn't graduate in 4 years anymore. It's 5 or 6 years. A great majority of the people that go to school won't actually even graduate. And then the average student loan debt is $40,000. It's actually about $42,000 in 2022. Holy cow, $42,000. And some of them are like 100 grand. I know this is so stupid, but I have some wonderful friends, good people who studied at a university to become missionaries. So they got a Christian degree, over 100 grand student loans. And then when they were ready to go to the mission field, their massive debt preparing for the mission field excluded them from being able to go to the mission field. They were too in debt to go be missionaries, learning to be $100,000 of student loans. I'm like, man, that is the stupidest career trajectory you could possibly do, is any of this racking up of massive student loans. And it's not just the price tag you come out of it, it's the opportunity cost of those 4, 5, or 6 years that you could have just entered the workplace and started working and earning with no debt. Now, once you graduate school with all that debt, maybe it takes you a decade to pay it off. And you got all that interest and stuff building up as well. If you, instead of going to university and spending $40,000+ in just student loans, much less the opportunity cost of actually working in a career. So instead of going down, you're going up in terms of wealth, and you're learning a skill in a trade that's highly lucrative. You could be really quickly be making 6 figures in trades. But here we go. $42,000 of debt. If you just put that in like the stock market, in just a decent fund or something like that, you could retire a millionaire at the end of your working years. By the time you're able to hit retirement, you could be a millionaire. So there's no excuse for anyone to not be a millionaire. If you could go to college, you could absolutely be a millionaire. It's just, hey, instead of giving the university all that money, just put it in the market, sit on it, don't do anything, and you could become a millionaire just off of that. I'm like, man, that is a massive, massive cost right there. Another thing is sending your kids to school is playing Russian roulette with their values. Dennis Prager of Prager University pointed this out. There's a 5 in 6 chance that your kid, and your kid's awesome, your kid goes off to university and they reject your values and take on completely antithetical values. This is terrible in that it's not just about making kids smart and giving them knowledgeable facts. The lens in which they view the world, their worldview, in a sense, is really informed by values. And if the value structure is upside down, they may be educated with bad values. Well, all you've done is make clever devils, you see? Now, I know every one of you recoils and be like, oh, well, not my angel, right? But like, no, absolutely, your kid, 5 out of 6 chance. And everyone thinks they're the exception. Never plan on being the exception. It's just a train wreck of planning for life. Always expect that you're going, when it just comes to playing the odds, always expect the worst. Plan for the worst, hope for the best, but plan for the worst, right? And so do you really want to send your kids into an environment where 5 out of 6 of them will reject their parents' values and go off the deep end? I meet parents all the time who are absolutely shocked that their teenager or their 20-something age kid is gone off the rails, and they just didn't see it coming, because it's like they're good, they're good, they're good, they're good, and all of a sudden one day, surprise, they're not good. And the truth is they've been leaving you for years, as they being really not raised by you or me. They're being raised by social media, by big tech, by Netflix or whatever they're plugging into, by their schooling system and all their peers and all the depravity that wraps into that. And then day after day in college, professors are pouring different ideas into their heads. You got to make darn sure that those are the values that you want for your kids, right? And so I have that chip on my shoulder as well. Another thing is you're paying all this money for education when really all you have to do is just go buy some books or rent them from the library. for free. All the education that they're getting is really free if you just go out and get it. And so really what college ends up being is just a disciplined environment in which you can learn, right? It's like you could just go to the library and learn it all on your own. Just read. It's literally that simple. Just go read. It's all there. It's all free. But because we're not disciplined, I'm like, no, I'll go to class and the professor will force feed me. But really, your student is going to skip a lot of classes and they're just going to go chase girls. They're going to party it up. And that's what they're doing. They're not actually gaining discipline. They're not waking up early, working out, going to their job, and then hitting up, class and diligently doing their homework. They're doing the absolute minimum, just extending adolescence and partying it up, right? And so even that, the case for discipline of like, no, just get a job and start reading on your own. That's where my real education came from. It didn't come from university. It came after. It came from me just loving knowledge and reading hundreds and hundreds of books. That's what I've done, and that's what I'm continuing to do. You can't see it off screen, but I've got just tons of books and boxes over here, and I got more books over here, and I love books, right? And that's where my real education has come from. And anyway, it could be so for yours as well. So now, for all those reasons that I've mentioned, I don't want to just put my kids into the pipeline and say, all right, go get an education. Schooling and education are completely different, and one does not equal the other, right? And so instead of getting this college fund for my kids, what I've decided to do is I set up a business fund for both of my kids. I'm really doing this. And so the idea is they're putting into it. I'm also putting it into an interest-bearing account that's already started now. And when my kids come of age, and I don't know what that age is. 18 is not a magical number in which you're done parenting. That's terrible. You're never really done being their father or mother. Your role in their life, I think, will change and transition. However, you're never just done when they're 18. So please don't be that boomer parent. So instead of a college fund, I'm doing a business fund for my kids. What this means is whatever they want to do with that money, they've got to pitch an idea to a board of directors. That'll just basically be like-minded friends of mine. So I'm kind of taken out of the equation. I can be kind of like a mentor coach. But at some point, I'll hand this business fund over to a board of directors. And now it's my son's job to pitch the board of directors for the right to get to that money. Now, the money is theirs. And I'll have it protected in such a way that it truly is theirs, but they're going to have to be able to make a good pitch, to make a good presentation, to put a good business plan on why they should get that. Now, they could use the business plan for college, but they've got to be able to convince them that college is a good business decision. It makes really, really good logical sense. Right now, I just don't think it does. But if they really, really want to be a doctor, they've done all these kind of things to be able to poise them for that. They understand that the future of public medicine and in a socialistic system, if we continue to go that way, the benefit of being a doctor becomes less and less and less. In a free market system with capitalism, it's more and more and more incentive to be a doctor, and when the state owns medicine, it becomes less and less and less. So anyway, they make a good case, then they could get that money potentially for college. Other than that, their idea is, okay, they have an idea for a business. I'm like, great, now get in that industry, work that industry for years and years and years, and find out some great competitive advantage in that. You need to become a subject matter expert in that craft. You don't just get the money because you have some stupid idea, right? You don't know anything. So, they could be 34 years old before they can actually cash in on that business plan. This board of directors needs to be not just like uncles and aunts and neighbors that love them. They're business people. They're folks that are wise with how to make good life decisions and make money. The point of money is not to spend money. The point of money is to be able to give it away and make the world a better place, and also to use money to make more money. Money is a money-making mechanism. And when you understand that, you start doing much better. And so that's how I want my kids to posture into business to be able to do that. And I'm sharing this with you guys because I want, hey, Warrior Poets, you guys are awesome. You guys are my kind of people, right? We see the world similarly. And I think us out there making better and better decisions is going to make the world a much safer place. If more of you were in charge and stewarding more and more resources, the world would be a better place. I trust you with more resources than the common man. You are different. So anyway, this is my plan for my kids. It's not extremely well fleshed out. My kids are still pretty young, but I've started now to try to just over time just build up a little nest egg that one day is going to be quite substantial for them, and I'll set them up for success. It also keeps me from ruining my kids because what you can do if you're not careful is you just give your kids a bunch of stuff and you make them miserable. You notice the more like toys you surround your kids with, the more irritable they get, the more fussy they get, the more obnoxious they get. And like the poor kid that's just got like a shoebox to play with is super happy. So that's what I just noticed of like when my kids have gotten real spoiled in the past, usually it's more indicative that we are spoiling them. You know, of like, no, you got to kick them outside. Like, hey, go play with pine cones and squirrels, kids. Go figure it out. And then they get bored and fussy and they start milling around because they want me to entertain them. I'm like, no, you guys got to go hunt. You got to go figure out how to entertain yourselves. And that's keeping my kids from being spoiled. Of like, oh, fussy attitudes, chores. And you just give them chores. And if that doesn't lift their spirits, more chores, right? What's the pirate expression?
Jack Sparrow.
No, not Jack Sparrow. Evan, you don't just say Jack Sparrow. No, it's beatings shall continue until morale improves, right? I'm not beating my children. I just thought it was a funny piratism, but that's the idea of like, hey, undisciplined kids are miserable. They're miserable kids and they're going to make you miserable too. You discipline your kids and they're happy kids. My kids are happy. Right? Happy, but they're disciplined, they're working, and what I don't want to do is spoil them by just dropping a fund on their head and say, hey, here you go, I did my part, you're 18, see ya kid, wish you the best of luck. I'm like, no, I'm going to do better than that for my kids, right? But I'm going to make them hunt, I'm going to make them work for it, right? Anyway, because I care, and so do you, right? And I think, you know, I can't control the outcome of the nation and the world, but I can plot the trajectory of how my kids go. I can't decide their lives for them, but I can do small stuff to put them on the right trajectory. And if we all did that, our country's going to change and the world's going to change for the better, right? Guys, most of you know this. There's still some meatheads out there that just don't understand that ideas are more powerful than just guns and fighting and stuff. We do the warrior thing, guys. We hold that skill set in our hands. We're warriors, but we're also poets, and that means we care a great amount about how education is going for us, but also for our kids, right? We're warrior philosophers, lovers of truth and defenders of truth, and I am proud to be in your company. Guys, check us out on Patreon. Our most loyal subscribers there helping us out on Patreon. They have early release on classes and stuff, as well as some personal attention. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you, patrons specifically. You guys are absolutely awesome. Been with me for a very long time, and I deeply appreciate your commitment to our cause. Guys watching this, please like this video, comment down below, whatever it is, helps us out with the algorithm. Subscribe to the video, make sure you toggle notifications bell to all. Check out our WPSN app. Links down below that help us out, help you out. Guys, appreciate you, love you. Train hard, train smart. See you next time.
The world changed. The world changed, and I needed to change with it.
While grocery stores are seeing empty shelves, the coronavirus pandemic is also prompting people to go buy guns. As of Sunday, firearm sales spiked.
Things were happening that no one in this generation has even seen.
People line up outside the door and pretty much completely wipe us out.
A pandemic?
Deeply concerned.
I don't even know that I've heard the word pandemic outside of reading a comic book or on a movie. And all of a sudden, we're thrust right into the middle of one. Lockdown happens. People are still rioting over toilet paper.
Dozens of them blocked the 101 freeway and attacked 2 CHP.
I just didn't know where things were going. And honestly, in my entire 40 years on this planet, it's the first time that I've ever felt that way.
Up on bread and toilet paper.
Permits are up.
Others are buying guns.
223%.
So it impacted me to do something. I bought a pistol and a rifle.